Hi, Gordon Atkinson here, Real Life Preacher. Wanted to talk a little bit about insurance, and I decided to do this with a video, which I will try to keep to 6 minutes because that's just nice to do that for people, not drone on and on. I'm not writing about this because I've already written about insurance, and I just don't have any energy to try to write about it because it wastes my creative time, and I can't write things without really like making them just right. So whereas on video I can stutter or mess up or whatever. Anyway, I wanted to mention a couple things because I've gotten some emails that were sort of interesting. First of all, I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can go to the blog and search for insurance, or go to the archives and search for insurance. But our situation is that my wife no longer has a job where insurance is offered, so we're on our own trying to get health insurance, and we've discovered that's a very difficult thing to do. You basically run into two problems. The first is that getting insurance on your own for a family of 5 or something can be very expensive. Currently, it costs us about $1,000 a month. That's a lot of money. We certainly never did plan on suddenly having to spend $1,000 a month on insurance. Now, I'm not complaining because we're doing it. Okay, I want to be real clear about that. We're making it. We're doing that. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm upset because I'm unable to get insurance right now. We can. A year from now, we'll see what happens when this insurance runs out that we have. But some people can't. A lot of people can't afford health insurance. So you have this one group of people that just can't afford it. So, it doesn't really matter if they can get it or not. They can't afford that. And that as costs go up, more and more people find themselves in that situation. The other group of people who are maybe even more unfortunate are those who could afford health care maybe, but they can't get it just because they won't qualify. I was turned down 3 times for health insurance. Because my 15-year-old daughter is uninsurable, so they tell me, insurance people tell me, because she takes Depakote. And other than that, she's fine. She's a normal 15-year-old kid. She's delightful. She's peppy, and is just a kid going to school, uninsurable. So, these folks are in trouble. And the email I got was kind of interesting because it said basically, look, I know you don't have insurance, and I'm sorry about that, but you can always just go down to the hospital, like the county hospital. They'll take care of you. They have to. And that's kind of an insurance itself, And we taxpayers pay for that, so, no whining. I don't want to hear any whining from you people. The person didn't say it, in that sort of a way, but that's kind of what it is in a way. Now, there's a problem with that. A problem. The problem is this. When you don't have health insurance, you can't afford anything like preventative care. So people who don't have an insurance don't get mammograms, don't go to the cardiologist, don't take their medications because they can't afford them and all that stuff. And they end up showing up at the hospital. And yes, my wife worked at a hospital. This is true. If you go to a hospital, go to the emergency room, and you're in really bad shape and you can get in the door, they can't throw you out so that you die. But they don't have to take you unless you're critically ill. And so people show up at the hospital having not taken care of themselves or gotten mammograms or whatever, and then they die. And it's really serious by that time, and they rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bills, which of course they don't pay because they can't. So the hospital eats it, and then that leads to the rising health care costs we all pay for, it's so absurd in a way. For want of preventative care, which though is pretty expensive, it isn't as that expensive. Now someone's dead and our health insurance costs are going up. So that's a bad plan. That doesn't work. That's not going to work. And what's going to happen is this, and my prediction is that there is a kind of tipping point we will reach in our nation, and the tipping point will be when enough people are in pain, and that it will just to finally admit that healthcare is too complex a thing for the private sector to handle. You can differ with me on that, but I believe we're moving that way. As healthcare costs go up, more and more people will find themselves either unable to pay for it or unable to qualify. Then they'll go to the hospitals and die and rack up large bills, and it'll keep going up. And eventually enough of us will get sick and say, we don't want to do this anymore. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't worry about this stuff until my family started dealing with it, and suddenly, I'm aware of the issue. So the question is, when is that date going to come? Now, Senator McCain is offering a $5,000, well, he's proposing a $5,000 tax credit to help people pay for insurance, which would be nice. A family like mine is going to be looking at spending about $12,000 on health insurance, and that would cut it in half, close, not quite. the problem with that is it doesn't address the people who can't get insurance at any cost. Folks like my daughter. $5,000 tax credit doesn't help you if nobody's going to take you. And so I actually think that that plan is worse because it's like a Band-Aid. It keeps us from feeling the pain collectively for a little bit longer. You know, some people who pay taxes and are organized and can plan ahead and, you know, well, we can write this check now because we know we're going to get $5,000 later. You know, the folks that'll take advantage of that. You know, they'll do that for a while and it'll put the date off, what, 5 years, 4 years? I don't know, who knows. But I'm telling you, the day's coming, you know, when you can't get insurance or someone you love and you know, and finally you'll say, how is it that Canada and England somehow figured out how to do this? And yeah, it's not a perfect system, but it's a system that can get health care to a 15-year-old, like my daughter. I mean, they're doing that right, somehow. So that's my 2 cents worth. I think it's just a question of time, and until enough people demand it. I do want to say one last thing in closing, because it's kind of funny. I got this other email, which this is just choice. It was so wonderful to get this email. The person said, basically, look, man, I'm sorry you don't have insurance and all. I mean, I really am. That's tough, and I'm really sorry. But don't you know that a national healthcare program is going to really mess stuff up for the rest of us? That just was really funny to me. You know, it's kind of the ultimate, I got mine, you know, so the rest of you, sorry. That's kind of a crummy way to see life, really. And again, that's kind of how I saw it. I didn't mean to. I was just busy. You know, I have bills to pay. I work hard. I do a lot of stuff. I didn't have time to think about health care because I had it. But it's one thing to think that way, kind of, well, I'm being taken care of, so don't rock the boat. It's another thing to send someone an email and tell them to quit whining. You know, isn't that just hilarious? You uninsured people, stop your whining. We're over here getting our insurance, and we're nice and happy about it. I have to listen to you people whine all the time. I just thought that was kind of funny. It was like a whole other level of callousness. That's very funny to me. Well, anyway, I think that we will eventually sort this out. You know, the American people are going to have health care because we want health care, and we will figure out a way to do it. I think it's just a matter of time. But that's definitely why I'm a supporter of a national health care plan of some sort or another. And I think that we'll just see what happens in the fall. Okay, it's nice talking to you, and until later, bye.